everybody. Happy Thursday. What's up, Tiff?
Good morning, Molly. I'm doing good.
Yeah, okay. It's good to see you.
It's been smelling like fall a little bit in the air, and I'm getting a little nervous about summer to leave us.
I totally agree. I love fall weather. I know you're not as big a fan of the autumnal weather that we've been having lately. It definitely feels like fall. There's just like that one day where I feel like we turn the corner and then it's just like, here's fall.
Here it is. And it smells. You can smell it in the air.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree. Okay, so I want to talk about when life gets a little bit pricey, because there are so many milestones in life where things get expensive. And I think especially right now, a lot of people, even if they haven't lost a job, they've been hit. Their income's been hit, decreased. Has changed substantially. So, you think about all those things that happen, whether it's your kids starting preschool, private school, sending kids to college, your friend gets married. There are a lot of really expensive things in life. So I wanted to share just two. Some of this advice is from Real Simple magazine. And just on a funny side note, our producer, Katie, is like, is that the only magazine you read? Because it's like, I'm always sharing something from Real Simple. And I love it. I think they have the greatest common sense advice, but I am kind of a one-trick pony.
Me too. I like, me, I'm all prevention in Oprah magazine. So, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So here's the advice about preschool, which I thought was fantastic. For one thing, they say, it's optional. There are a lot of things involved with preschool that many people think that, just the norm in their society, wherever they live, or maybe the way they grew up, maybe you don't have to do it that way. But things like the dance school in town, for example, if it's something that's really expensive, if it's great and that's what your kid's into, perfect. But maybe you can do lessons at the rec department, for example. Ask about sibling discounts. Ask about paying in cash, paying early. There's a lot of things with preschool before kids are even in school, and they're not going to remember a lot of times.
Yeah.
So you can say,
it's just, people want that first picture to look so cute. That's what they're buying, the clothes and the shoes and the backpack for that first picture.
Yeah, but I mean, I've known people who go out and they buy ballet shoes, tap dancing shoes, all of those things, and then their kids don't even end up liking dance. So you have to be careful about what you invest in before you know what they're interested in. Then the other thing what's that?
I'll tell you this though, growing up, so we grew up with very little money, and so we couldn't afford dance. I always wanted to dance, and my best friend could afford dance. So I actually would go with her, and they allowed me to go in and sit on the bench. This is sort of sad, but it wasn't as a kid. But they'd let me sit on the bench, and I'd sit on the sidelines, and I'd learn the dance so that when she wanted to practice at home, I could practice with her, even though I wasn't a part of the class, and we couldn't afford to be.
That's so cute. That sort of breaks my heart. That's cute.
But you know what? As a kid, you don't know the difference. Like, certainly I was like, okay, well, I get it. I can't be in the class, whatever. But I'll learn this so I can practice with her later. And you know what? I credit it to like my desire to help teach people and coach people now later in life. Maybe that's where it happened. So, I think as parents, we feel guilt for not giving kids things. But at the end of the day, kids are kids. They're resilient. They're going to learn to play and have fun no matter what.
Yeah, and it's what we teach our kids too when they don't get everything that I think you're talking about, and I think that's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's hard. It's hard.
It's really hard to sit on the bench when your friend's dancing, for sure. The other thing was buying a house. They say you should look at a house and choose one that you think you can live in for at least 10 years. The key is not buying more house than you can afford, because there are so many costs you don't think of, whether it's the broker, closing costs, but things that you need to fix. But they also say that there are a lot of assistance programs that people don't think about. For example, there's down payment assistance for first-time buyers. There's a lot of things that help veterans, as we've seen on our show. The other thing is that you should develop a fix-it-yourself mindset. And they say, maybe you're not going to be able to do the plumbing or the electrical, but you can caulk a tub.
Nor should you.
Nor should you. But you can caulk a tub, or you can paint yourself. There are some things that you can do, but I thought that was kind of key, especially now during the pandemic.
I think so too. And I've heard, so one of the things that I was reading about is the study that they were asking people during the pandemic, how has their feeling towards money changed? And I was shocked because I thought a lot of people it would be a negative result, but honestly, it was pretty positive. They said over 51% of people here in 2020, compared to way less when they were polled years ago, feel smart about their money. They feel more frugal, which makes sense. But in general, I think it's the exact things you're talking about. They're saying, that they feel like they can pinch pennies in a way that makes them feel good and intelligent about the way that they spend. And I think that's a benefit.
I do too. I think so too. And I think it's sort of turning a negative into a positive. I think people are much more grateful for family time right now, for example.
Yes.
That's
You're
something
never
that,
going to get it back.
Absolutely. A lot of people, for me, for example, I have a college student who's now home doing some online learning. And it's like a lot of people have their college kids, or we have friends. You and I have a really good friend who has her son who's already graduated from college and in the working world, but he's sort of living in their basement, working virtually. And she absolutely loves having him home.
Well, and that's the thing. I think people, if you can, it actually reminds me of what you always said about parenting. I'm sure you heard this somewhere, but I think it's also true of a pandemic. And it's that the days are long, but the years are short. And I think that's something you've said that to me many times over the years about parenting. And it's something that has always stuck with me because I think it's such a great reminder of how to find gratitude in the experiences we're having, because it's not going to last forever. And while some days you're just like, you can't handle it anymore, when you look in the big scope of things, this is going to be a blip in our lives.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents are home, especially with younger kids wanting to tear their hair out. But I think if we can remind ourselves that this is going to pass, hopefully sooner rather than later. But in the meantime, what can we do to make the best out of it? And what can we teach our kids during this time? It's huge.
And how can you save $1? So that's our sound off today. We want to know, what's your best tip for stretching $1? Because we all need to do that right now.
Yeah, people have good advice. I love hearing the responses,
Yes.
and we'll share them a little later.